So we had another police video this week out of Virginia. Actually, and just so you know, it didn't happen this week. It actually happened in December. But there
Oh,
was an
gotcha.
army officer, I think it was the second lieutenant, who was pulled over by two police officers, and they jumped him with guns drawn, held him at bay for a very long time, and then they pepper sprayed him, and it was upsetting. I mean, I'm not sure. I know you just learned about it, but he was literally at one point in his car, and he said, "I'm afraid to get out." And one of the cops responded, "Well, you should be." So it was a really troubling video. At one point, they maced him. You know, he was in his car the entire time. He never got out. He had his hands out the window. And he was very scared. He was in uniform. He was in his fatigues. He had his dog in the back. And they were treating him like he was a bank robbery suspect. Like I said, they jumped out of the car with their guns drawn. I know you just are hearing a little bit about it, but what do you know about it?
Well, can I ask? Do you know what the cops are saying as far as why they pulled him over, or the reasoning behind the whole thing in the first place?
Yeah, well, they're saying that he had no tags, but it was a new car and the tags were in the window. And and then they were saying that he was eluding capture. And what he did was he actually drove to a gas station to where it was lit because he didn't want to pull over in a dark area. And what's interesting is one of the police officers said that happens a lot. So first of all, this wasn't unusual, but then he went so far as to say it happens a lot and it's normally a minority. But that's what I don't understand though is they immediately drew. You know, I'm not too familiar with too many traffic stops where they draw, but if you pulled me over and immediately you're drawn, I'm gonna be a little scared shitless right there.
Yeah, and not only that, but there's not enough space to make mistakes on the cops end, right? If you just come up to the car, guns drawn, then you're already in that mindset that something's going to go wrong. And we saw a similar. This happens all the time, but Tamir Rice, infamously, they pulled up on him with guns drawn, and within seconds, right, that they shot him and killed him. So, this look, we know that there's a problem here, and we know that there's a bias inherently with cops against black men, black women, and minorities in general. I also would like to say that um, with every case, you find that the Blue Lives Matter crowd likes to find faults in the argument of the victims. Oh, he should have never been wearing this, or he should have pulled over, or he should have did this, he should have did this. This is a guy who's highly trained in protocol and the hierarchy of orders and everything like that. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's wearing his army fatigue, so you can't say anything about he was posing a threat. He was wearing a hoodie, whatever it was, right? So, look, at some point they're just going to run out of excuses to say there is a bias here, and we have to start to have that conversation uh, as far as like across the board, right? Every incident is treated case by case, but the common denominator is always cops are always overreacting against black men and Latino men and women in general.
Yeah, his name is Caron Nazario. He was black and Latino, as you mentioned, and but I mean, like I say, it was a really upsetting video, and it was fascinating because you know how there was something else about a black man, I think in California, being arrested while they were looking for a white suspect. They arrested a black
Yeah.
guy, and the reason why I bring that up is, as you can imagine, I'm busy during the day, and I've got a group chat with my college buddies, and one of the college buddies, hey, did you see that video? And I couldn't really pay attention to the chat, but I just assumed they were talking about the other video, right? And so it's one of those things where, um, it just didn't happen to happen. It is really, I think, given the fact that the guy's in uniform, it's even more heartbreaking. And he was, saying, "I can't believe this, I can't believe this," but it goes to show. And I mean, the tone of the police officers,
Yeah.
there was never any kind of there was never any kind of attempt at de-escalation. He was trying to de-escalate, and all they were trying to do was escalate, escalate, escalate. It was just, it was really upsetting to watch.
Another factor here is it reminds me of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, right? People were saying, "Oh, he's kneeling is disrespectful to the troops." Here's a guy who's a troop, right? Here's the guy who Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for, and they still will make excuses to say, "Oh, he should have did this, he should have did this." We know this is a problem, and we know that. And after January 6th, I no longer want to hear the Blue Lives Matter crowd, right? Because we saw that they don't actually care. They don't actually care about blue lives. They don't actually care about this thing that they've tried to make up for the last 5, 6 years. So, as far as I'm concerned, we need to just move forward, and we need to figure out solutions that are going to help and stop killing innocent people.
Right, and I think the thing is, was in Windsor, in Southeast Virginia, near Richmond. But one of the things that is, I think to your point was this is, and I think on Sunday night, this will air on Monday, but on Sunday night, MSNBC would have shown a thing by I think Richard Engel is a correspondent, but they interviewed one of the police officers. And he had the exact same attitude. He said, "You're telling me Blue Lives Matter as you're beating me with a Blue Lives Matter flag." Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're calling me the N word. It's one of those things where you're just really seeing things in a certain way, and it kind of it's tough because in the community I live in, we had a black police officer who was shot, and they used the Blue Lives Matter imagery with a lot that flag, and I wonder if police know, especially police who are not who are trying to do the right thing. I wonder if they understand that just how something as simple as that imagery of that Blue Lives Matter flag can be triggering for some folks. Because the reality is that a lot of people waving that flag are not police officers. And a lot of people waving that
Right.
flag are not really police officers, and they're only on the side of police as long as they think that the police are basically holding people of color down. And the minute that the police try to be objective or fair or police everybody, right? These are the same people, to your point, who are resisting, who are actually engaging in a lot of behavior that they tell black people that they shouldn't engage to, and that's why we're getting shot.